The Basilica de la Sagrada Familia, a sandy-coloured colossus rising like a surreal stone forest in the heart of Barcelona's city grid system, is perhaps the most iconic unfinished building in the world. A masterpiece in the expression of faith and love of nature, fuelled by obsession but tinged with tragedy, this breathtaking church is inextricably linked to the life and untimely death of its visionary architect, Antoni Gaudi. The project began in 1882 as a fairly conventional neo-Gothic church commissioned by a conservative Catholic association. But within a year the original architect, Francisco de Paula del Villar, resigned after disagreements with backers. In his place stepped the visionary genius Gaudi, then a relatively unknown young architect. Gaudi immediately discarded the original plans and began reimagining the church as something far more ambitious, a vast organic temple that would tell the entire story of Christianity through form, symbolism and radical architecture. Drawing inspiration from nature, geometry and Christian mysticism, he began work on what he called the Bible in stone. So committed was Gaudi that he eventually moved into the construction site, living in a small workshop room so he could devote himself entirely to the basilica. He poured his energy into the project for over 40 years, with the last 15 of his life given to it exclusively. Unambiguously believing he was doing God's work, he famously said, "My client is not in a hurry." Then, in 1926, tragedy struck. Gaudi was hit by a tram while crossing the street outside to look up at his creation. Because of his worn clothes and lack of identification, he was mistaken for a beggar and taken to a pauper's hospital. By the time his identity was discovered, it was too late. He died 3 days later, aged 73, with only a quarter of the basilica completed in his lifetime. His death was not the end of the Sagrada Familia's woes either. During the Spanish Civil War in the 1930s, anarchists stormed the site, destroying many of Gaudi's models and blueprints. Much of his visionary planning was lost forever, forcing future architects to interpret and extrapolate Gaudi's intentions from fragments. Even today, parts of the design are being reconstructed using old photographs, remaining models and computer-assisted speculation. Despite the setbacks, construction continued in fits and starts throughout the 20th century. Over time, the basilica became a patchwork of evolving architectural approaches. Critics have called it a Frankenstein cathedral, as successive generations struggle to balance fidelity to Gaudi's vision with modern techniques, including digital modelling, AI and 3D printing. In 2010, Pope Benedict XVI consecrated the still unfinished church as a basilica, and Gaudi's tomb in the crypt has become a site of pilgrimage. He was declared venerable by the Catholic Church in 2015, the first major step towards canonization. Today, more than 140 years since it began, the Sagrada Familia remains under construction. It was scheduled to be completed in 2026 to mark the centenary of Gaudi's death, but that goal has since been pushed back due to pandemic-related delays. But the interior was finished when I visited, and what a treat it was. Now I've crossed the threshold of many a church and cathedral, but this place was out of this world. It's like a huge stone forest with dappled lights in multiple soothing colours washing into your eyes. As you gaze up, the sheer magnitude and beauty of this remarkable building becomes clear as you eagerly glance at more and more detail. It was nothing short of a revelation, as the focus on nature rendered the place like a gigantic forest clearing. I'm happy to admit it was a moving experience to see such wonders. A monument to divine inspiration, human creativity, and sadly a tragic obsession, the Sagrada Familia is a living contradiction. Living because it is still being built, added to, toiled on. It is almost a shame that it will one day soon be completed. It is the living embodiment of what Rosicrucians might call the work. That is the transformation of matter through idea-led endeavour. The building is utterly modern and yet conceived of by a 19th century mind. As I left, the sky was incredible also. Pinks, oranges and blues as the sun was setting. Nature and architecture putting on an unforgettable show. I couldn't help but think that this was just as the tragic architect intended. If you ever find yourself in Barcelona, make sure to visit this place. You will not be disappointed. The word is perhaps overused in this day and age, but it is truly spectacular. But that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, share and most importantly subscribe. And you can also support the channel on Subscribestar via the link in the description or via YouTube. Super thanks. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.